Here, what's cracking? So yeah, you already know what it is, right? And as I always say, there ain't nothing new under the sun. Now, normally I start these off with petty, but I really wanted to try to use this as a catalyst to have a serious conversation about what's really going on in our country and overall in our reality, especially when it comes to us as a people, as melanated beings, especially those of us in this country, United States of America, and foundational Black Americans. So I put together a short clip from, not short, about 10-minute clip from two separate content creators in regards to what just happened with the Don Lemon situation. After that, I want to spin the block and we're going to have a conversation because I want to use this to point out a few things of how we're actually being manipulated and used to push someone else's agenda unbeknownst to most of us because they're using our intergenerational trauma and manipulating our emotions and our feelings to get their work done. But yeah, we're gonna check that out and then we'll spin the block and we're gonna have this conversation.
There may be some other avenues that the DOJ is going to explore to get him charged. But as of right now, he's a free man. And we're going to unpack that in just a moment. But I want to start here first, right? Let's start with the folks who were arrested. Let's start with our guy, the man who sounds like he smoked 10 packs of cigarettes before opening his mouth every time he speaks, William Kelly. You remember this big mouth guy right here? Let's take a listen to this very quickly. Check this out.
So, you know, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. And for all the people giving me death threats, threatening my life, kill me. Go ahead, kill me. Because you know what? As Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution.
We did this yesterday. I just want to read this portion one more time. And then I want to play William Kelly's own words. And let's see if his words line up with him violating the FACE Act. Okay, so we're here, 18 USC Code Section 248, freedom of access to clinic entrances, subsection A, paragraph 2. I just want to read this one more time for you guys. I know you heard it yesterday, but let's hear it again. Prohibited activities, whoever by force or threat of force or by physical obstruction intentionally injures, intimidates, or interferes with, or attempts to injure, intimidate, or interfere with any person lawfully exercising or seeking to exercise the First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of religious worship. Now, based on William Kelly's own admission, you all let me know if it sounds like this guy is guilty. Let's get into this clip next.
In this church, they're living real comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. So if we disturb their Sunday, oh no, nobody should have comfort right now while our immigrant communities are afraid to leave their houses. All the people in this church, they're living real comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. So if we disturb their Sunday, oh no, nobody should have comfort right now while our immigrant communities are afraid to leave their houses.
Guilty as charged. And once again, all that, martyrdom and things of that nature, it sounds good until it's real. Look at this photo here of Chantel Louisa Allen, basically her arrest photo. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I got to make a full screen for you guys. Look at this. No. Don't look like that now. Don't look like that now. Don't make that face now. It's too late.
There. off to the side. I know this only because I just did it one time.
Got you out here looking crazy. They're professional agitators. Professional agitators. Right? They agitate and disrupt for profit. And she used to be from between the years of 2019 and 2024. She was the director of a nonprofit organization that was an anti-poverty nonprofit organization. And the long and short of it is this. Okay, here's the long and short of it. In 2024, she took in roughly around $250,000 in profit by way of her salary, while only donating $158,000, to anti-poverty initiatives. This carried on for years. 2023, she took in roughly around a little over $200,000 in salary profit, while only giving away $133,000. And this carried on year after year after year. We don't have to rehash this too much, but this is just the facts. These people are professional agitators. While she's raising up millions of dollars, far left agitator who organized Minnesota church storming raked in over $1 million. While she's raking in over $1 million every year, she's making sure to at least give herself $200K. All right. So I don't really feel bad for these people, because at the end of the day, they genuinely check this clip out next.
I want to correct something.
Let me take it from the top.
And I do want to correct something that was said in the beginning. We did not rush into that church. We actually went and sat down and participated in the service. And after the pastor prayed, that is when I stood up and asked him a question in response to his prayer. And then he responded to me. And then I proceeded to ask him about Pastor David Easterwood and how is it possible for him to serve as both the pastor and the director of ICE for Minnesota. And instead of responding to me, as soon as I said the name David Easterwood, the pastor says, "Shame, shame." And that is when I led us in chants, "Justice for Renee Good" and "Hands Up, Don't Shoot." So I want to...
Let's pretend that that's true. That's still against the law. Let's pretend that what she's saying is true and it played out just like that. That still violates the FACE Act. It's
allowing me to be here.
Okay,
thank you guys.
Okay.
All right. How are you?
Good.
To see you. We're on. We're not saying what it is, what's going on, but thank you. Tell us why you're doing this.
So
this is Nakima Levy Armstrong. She's on the show
Nakima
on Friday.
Levy Armstrong, civil rights attorney, longtime activist here in the community. And, we protest and do activism in all kinds of ways. This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there. And then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now. We've had a lot of success with the times we have done Operation Pull Up.
We could just stop this. I want to play it one more time. I mean, the stream is over. It's not over. Don't leave yet, please. But, the stream is basically over. I mean, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? She's literally...
They're getting the operation together. Again, this is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out. Can't tell you what is going to happen, but you're going to watch it live unfold here on the Don Lemon Show. There are for this reason, it may look like MAGA coded, but there's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest. It's because of the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here. So that is what I could say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here.
Excuse me, you turned your camera off for them. Why, Don? Why? So you know what's going on. Imagine me and my man Rob, for those of you who are curious if me and Rob are still friends, me and Rob are still friends. All right. He's just not on the internet anymore, but we're still friends. But I'm going to use him as an example.
Fake right-wing propaganda news alert from this supposed right-angle news network, supposed network, that I led a protest into a church this morning in Minneapolis. That is complete BS. First of all, I had no idea who the organization was until I arrived this morning.
He had no idea who the organization was.
I had no affiliation to that organization. I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there. We were there chronicling protests. Once the protest started in the church, we did an act of journalism, which was report on it and talk to the people who were involved, which included the pastor, members of the church, and members of the organization. There you go. So why don't you talk to the actual person who is in charge of the organization and whose idea it was to have the protest at the church before you start blaming me for stuff for which you have no idea about.
This is the house of God, and we are
That pastor actually asks Don Lemon to leave.
As a Christian, one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship. Okay.
And then one of the sickest parts, he reports on child abuse and kind of gets a kick out of it.
This guy here, look, he's hugging his kid. And, I imagine it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. But again, careful, it's very slippery right here. Yeah. It's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here, but that's what really, careful, please, really slippery. Not kidding. That's what protesting is about.
Yeah. All right. So now we back, right? So now, first off, I want to say with Don Lemon, if you go back on your own time and actually check his history and do the paperwork on him and look at his background and you see where he started in journalism and how he got to where he's at now, and it may give you just a glimpse into his mind of how far he's willing to go to be, as we see, are quote unquote successful, right? And it's for someone who preaches such a woke message and such a woe is me, the white man's knocking on my door and trying to kick my chest in, that every night he goes home and lays next to exactly that. But hey, there's no judgment here, but just little things to think about when you're looking into the mind and the psyche of an individual who uses his platform to push an agenda to line his pockets that goes against everything that is what's good for you and yours. Because if you actually pay attention, if you remember when the situation in Florida and Texas happened with illegal aliens using legal CDLs to get work, because, when their own countrymen come over here and get contract companies and they get these contracts, they were hiring these people. So when the current administration said that if you cannot read and write English, you cannot drive commercially in the United States of America, look at how many of those jobs went back to actual Americans. Go follow the paper trail and look at the numbers, but not to get off track. I'm gonna stay on topic today. Don Lemon, right? If you pay attention to the clips and you see what he said after shit hit the fan, one, he knew what he was doing, but he claims, oh no, I was just practicing journalism. As he said, I was doing journalism. I was just doing journalism. I didn't know anything. But he stood right there, told you he turned the camera off because he didn't want to tip off where there was the spot they was about to run up in, just in case someone was watching and could notify them. So one, if you go back and actually watch Don Lemon's own content, he said, I got boots on the ground doing reconnaissance a few months ago. So this had been planned out far in advance. He knew what he was going to do when he got there. That's why he showed up with camera crew with him, microphones, and a whole fucking objective. They sat through the whole service. They claim, right? That's their own words. They sat through the whole service and then waited to catch wreck and protest, even though the woman that organized it herself says she's a civil rights attorney. So if she is in fact an attorney and she passed the bar, you would have thought she would have had this simple knowledge, the wherewithal to do her due diligence first and to make sure that it did not violate any protocols of land, air, and water. The fucking law. So now everyone's looking at a felony, but the individual that taped everything that's going to incriminate everyone involved hid behind, I was just doing journalism. But you just happen to be there with your camera crew to document everything up to that point when you yourself admitted weeks or months in advance you had already reached out to these individuals and had put boots on the ground to do reconnaissance. Then you sat there while they made the plan, the whole game plan, and sat in on it. This is what we're going to do, A, B, C, X, Y, Z. But now you're claiming that you had no parts in this when this is what we do because this is what my daddy did. And I'm going to go on in it. You can't use what you do for a living and then mix it in with your personal beliefs and ideologies when it's convenient to save your ass when you're running everyone else under the bus to get ran through. And you're using our intergenerational trauma and the things that we already know get us up and get us angry. Civil rights, racism. You hear that shit, motherfuckers want to go to war. We get it. I'm the same fucking way. That's why I have to fight it every day now, because I saw how I was being used and abused. Just like the last video I did about 1199 in the Union and Tether House. They're using these people to undercut us, and it's being funded by a specific party. Malcolm X warned us, do not trust these liberals. They're sly as a fox. They will smile in your face and stab you in the back. Martin Luther King, I think I may have ran my people into a burning building. And then after that, both of them was up out of here. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Read the room. Stop letting them use you to push their agenda when their whole agenda is to undercut you. If you pay attention to the actual numbers and how many people, like with the H-1B visas, how they're overworked, underpaid, but they're scared to say anything because if they lose their job, they can't stay in the great old America. But if the job normally would pay $100K a year, they can get them here at 60, 75, working them for more hours, undercut them, not pay them overtime, and fuck you, an American citizen, out of a job and the proper rate for it. And they telling us that we need bodies to fill these jobs. And we fell for it. Let's keep it a buck. We fell for it. But when you have your unions and all their employees telling you, fight, 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 and all this other bullshit, you hear it so much, you start to think that it's the right thing to do. That is fucking normal. But at what point did we start fighting, one, for socialist ideologies? Because I knew as a child, all the regimes and world leaders throughout history that we were told practice socialism, Pol Pot, Mussolini, your boy Hitler, on and on and on. And then those regimes and what happened to them, they all failed. And here we are, New York City, and we have a democratic socialist, which is nothing but a socialist that's democratically elected. They are telling you what they are pushing, and it's everything that we was taught the America that we live in stood for, right? Now all of a sudden we're pushing the same shit that our enemies pushed for decades. Isn't it making sense to you, ladies and gentlemen? And look at what's coming with it. The end of your sovereignty and your rights. But y'all don't seem to care. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Pay attention. Pay attention to the destiny swap. Don Lemon is showing you what all of them are doing in real time. They get on their soapboxes, they beat you in the head with their bullshit propaganda, and they use repetition to indoctrinate your mind. And then when they get you all rallied up and ready to go, they show up with their cameras and their microphones, and they put them in your face and make you tell on yourself. And then they show it to the whole fucking world. And when it's time for the other foot to drop on them and them to pay what they owe to society for violating those protocols of land, air, and water, they get to hide behind journalists. So everybody's going to jail. Everybody caught a felon except old sweet ass Don Don. Pay attention. And furthermore, which actually I'm going to clip this after this. The reason that you believe the bullshit is because people like him use his platform to tell you that crossing the border is not a crime, that it's just a civil matter. When you look it up and you see first offense is a class A felony, second offense is first offense is a class A misdemeanor, second offense is a class A felony. So how is a felony, which can get you up to 10 years prison time, hard labor, a civil matter? A civil matter is a parking ticket. You get your ticket, man, you don't want to contest it, pay the motherfucker and go. Pay your fine and keep it moving. That's civil. When you can do jail time, when you can lose your right to vote and your ability to bear arms, that good old second hand, when you can't carry that no more, when you can't vote for the president of the United States or your city, state, and local leaders, that's more than a civil matter. And I have people tell me all the time, oh, if you really thought you knew the law, then maybe you would know it's like a civil matter. And you listen to these people. And a lot of them are your union organizers, your reps, your preachers, your favorite TV personalities, and even social media influencers who have no clue what the fuck they're talking about. They just want some clicks. And so they're going to run your ass off as long as they can get that fucking bag. We got to pay attention, my people. We have got to pay attention. Stop making the same mistakes over and over and over. We're literally in a fucking loop. We are in a spell that is a literal time loop that we keep doing the same shit over and over and over in every incarnation of humanity. It always ends up the same way. It's knock back to the Stone Age, start over, wash, rinse, and repeat. And they keep using fear to indoctrinate us and enslave us. And then people like Sir Don Don here, or Paul, aka I'm a rat, stool pigeon, bird song, who uses name recognition. Again, shit that's encoded in you that your body remembers even when the mind don't. Because we all, as Black Americans, have been taught to look at the Black Panthers as a program that brought in free breakfast, school lunches, daycare programs, tutoring programs, free clinic, that our current form of government started actually using. Pardon me. But yeah, our current government actually started using and instituting these things themselves, and they got from that party. So when we hear these names, off of name recognition alone, we automatically have a soft spot for them, and we want to run behind, right? And fall in line. But if you pay attention, what we renew from back in the day, the 60s, as the Black Panther parties, then gave way to the new Black Panther Party. And as Mr. Birdsong himself has told you, this is the Black Panther Party of self-defense. The only thing that's the same is the Black Panther part. All the rest of this shit's a fucking psyop. And if you go and look at the paperwork, have a paperwork party, you'll see where he had the same script that he just used about ICE a few years ago in Lansing, Michigan, when he was talking about the police coming at Crips and Bloods, because his set was getting stomped on. The world is a stage, ladies and gentlemen. Become the main character in your film, in your production, and stop being an NPC or an extra. And on that note, I'm going to get out of here. Remember, realize. Transparency forces accountability. Y'all keep your eyes to the stars. Keep that head on a swivel. And remember, they're playing a dirty, dirty, dangerous game. Dirty, dirty, dangerous game. And if you don't keep your head on a swivel, pay attention to the signs. Know that history always repeats itself. You are bound to repeat history if you don't fucking learn it. We're repeating right now. Maduro is the new Noriega. Remember, before there was BRICS and they tried to be the BRIC nation's dollar, the president of the EU at the time, which was the president of France, him and Gaddafi tried to do the same thing that they're doing with BRICS now. We see how that ended up. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Ain't nothing new under the sun. But yeah, on that note, I'm out of here, man. Y'all be safe. and keep your eyes on the stars and that head on a swivel. Keep these fucking demons in check and keep your eye out for Welcome to Tether House, the NYU 1199 SCIU. Got you, bitches.
Crossing the border illegally is not a crime?
No, it's not a criminal act. It's a misdemeanor.
So why are they being sent back and saying that they're breaking the law?
That's the point.
Okay, as somebody that
We don't know if they're breaking the law because they won't tell. There's no due process. Where's the evidence? That's the whole point. And if they are breaking the law, most people will say, okay, then they need to go if they're criminals. But if they're not, why are they being rounded up and sent out? Especially when he promised to deport the criminals. And now he's not doing that.
Yeah, I don't think we're going.
Misdemeanor is not a crime. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So misdemeanor is not
it's
a crime?
not a criminal act. No, if you get charged with a misdemeanor, that's not a criminal
why
act.
get charged at all then, if it's not a criminal act?
Because we have different levels of crime. Everything is not the same.
So it is crime.
No,
it's just
we have
different
we
level.
have different levels of. I shouldn't say crime, but it's not. It's not. You're not. It's not a crime. You're not breaking the law. I mean, you are breaking the law, but it's not a criminal act.
So it's breaking the law.
No,
the law, but it's
you're
just
not
a
breaking the
different
law.
level
The
of
misdemeanor is not
crime.
breaking the law.
No.
So if you're speeding, drinking, get pulled over, DUI.
That's not a criminal act. Well, no,
It's a
if you're
misdemeanor.
speeding, is a misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor.
Right.
So it's still breaking the law.
Okay. Well, if you want to qualify that, we're doing semantics.
Because
But
why
what I'm
would you
saying,
pull over?
but what I'm trying to tell you is everything is not the same. It's all not one thing.
But is it the law?
What is it? The law that what?
Is it a law to come
Is
over
there a
legally?
law?
Is there a law?
There are rules that processes that you should follow. Yeah. So you're breaking rules. You're breaking the rules, but you're not necessarily breaking a law.
So what happens when you break the rules?
Then you suffer the consequences. But the consequences should not. Look, no one is saying no one should suffer the consequences. You guys are getting things mixed up.
I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by being too dumb for your own good. Stephanie Sir, right? Besides, if you really knew the law, you would know that it is a civil matter and not a criminal offense. Making it a federal crime. Illegal re-entry, first offense, higher penalties for subsequent offenses, crime. While some violations like visa overstays are civil, these specific sections criminalize unauthorized entry, re-entry, leading to detention fines and deportation bars. So ladies and gentlemen, increased penalties for prior felony convictions makes it a felony to re-enter after being deported or removed. 8 USC 1326. It's a fucking crime. Stop listening to the idiots like this here. You know what? No wonder the contract is up. Seems like it might be time to go back to Siberia for some of these people, and they're upset. Don't let these motherfuckers gaslight you.
Yes, and welcome back to the House Studios, ladies and gentlemen, with your man, Petty Murphy, Solon's #1 edutainer at your #1 source for edutainment for foundational Black America, Akata News Network. And yes, I'm reporting to you live from the back of the classroom. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see now, it appears to be that old Don Lululemon has fucked around and found out that even he's not above the law. Or maybe he just might be, because it appears that he may be turning in his liberal protesters for a little bit of that ching-ching, if you know what I mean. Calm down, Petty. Calm down. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing that you haven't learned from today's there's one thing that you haven't learned from today's broadcast on our program is pay attention to the signs and the symbols. Understand and know that the world is a sage. And even those that are as sweet as Don Lululemon can even leave a sour taste in your mouth. And sometimes it's hard to take those lemons and make lemonade, if you know what I mean. And it's hard to hide in the shade when the person standing next to you has the camera and microphone in your face recording all that you do to give it over to the man that he claims he's fighting oppression from, even though he lets one in his ass every night. Calm down, Betty. That was too far. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will bid you adieu. It is your man, the one, the only, Solon's number one edutainer, Petty Murphy, here reporting to you live from the back of the classroom at Solon's number one source for edutainment, the one, the only, Akata News Network. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is stay black and stay proud and kick these motherfuckers' dicks in the dirt.
Stop letting these people gaslight you and use your intergenerational trauma to pimp you like Idaho.